Um, let's talk about all of the benefits of actually decluttering your toys for you and for your kids. So I have 10 reasons, as we go through these. If you have questions, ask them as they come up. Comments, obviously, guys, when you guys aren't here live, I love getting feedback from you. I love it when I don't feel like I'm just talking to myself. So I have 10 things that I'm going to put down. There's probably way more than just 10 things, but these are the big ones. And then at the end, I'm going to give you some action steps to actually figure out how you are going to start simplifying the toys in your home. Okay. So number one, and the biggest reason for moms, and probably the reason that most of us start or want to declutter their toys, is because everything is cleaner. Okay. And it's kind of a selfish reason, but just keeping it real, that's why most moms are like, I need to declutter the toys. I'm sick of the mess. I'm sick of them not cleaning up after themselves. I'm sick of them just throwing things everywhere all the time. And you are overwhelmed. Okay, so that is a very real and valid reason to want to declutter the toys. It's not the only one. And the rest of them that we're going to talk about are below the surface. Okay, this is kind of the surface level reason for wanting to declutter. You're overwhelmed by the mess. The kids don't clean up after themselves. You're tired of spending your days going behind them and putting things away, and you would just love it if for once somebody could help you out with the mess, right? So that is the first reason. After we decluttered our toys, the mess just wasn't there. We had one suitcase of toys when we first moved to Florida, and they could pull everything out for the entire day, every single toy ever in the house, and we could have it cleaned up in about 10 minutes. And we have more toys now in the house that we're in, and it's been like 5 or 6 years of accumulating toys, but for the most part, my kids could pull everything out and we could have it cleaned up, in like 15 minutes. And every night, that's what we do. We go put everything back up in the rooms, back on the shelves, back in the toy buckets. It takes 10 minutes maybe, but when you have less, it stays cleaner. Okay, it's easier to manage. Oh man, yeah. I don't want you getting this all dirty. She's probably gonna cry now. Ugh, gross. Okay, yep. Do you want to play with these? You want these? She's really grumpy. That's why I'm late. So that is number one. Shara, you need this so much. Okay, perfect. Number two, when you have less toys, my kids have learned to respect what they have. You okay? Come here. They respect what they have, meaning they don't just throw things around. They don't just break things. They don't. Yes, she had a granola bar. They respect what they have, meaning they take care of it. They put it away. They play with it how it's meant to be played with. They don't throw it. They don't get destructive, which wasn't so much a big thing that happened in my home. But it definitely happened in the classrooms that I worked with. When the kids had more toys, they got destructive with it. They didn't use things how they were supposed to be used. The example that I like to give is like the play kitchens. When there's too much stuff in the play kitchen, kids want to play in it. The first thing they do is go in there and dump it all out and throw it all around. And there's not any actual playing going on. It's just chaos, okay? And that's what it felt like in our house when we had way too many toys. Like, they didn't know where to start. They would pull everything out. They would throw it all around. They would dump all the buckets out. And then it was just chaos. And of course, when they're sitting in chaos, they're going to play chaotically and they're not going to respect their stuff. They're not going to play with it the way it's intended. So an example is like this thing that I have for Kaylee. A lot of toys have a lot of moving parts, a lot of pieces. And we used to have a bunch of these kinds of things with tons of pieces all on the shelf. And what would happen is they'd pull it out, they'd dump it all out, they'd mix and match, they'd throw it, they'd use it for all of these different kinds of things, which is fine, okay, if they're, playing creatively. But there's a difference between like playing creatively and playing with things the way that they're meant to be and respecting that. So now I just put one thing out at a time because she's little and she can't really understand that. So she pulls out all the pieces, has a great time with it. She'll play with this for about an hour every morning, and then I'll switch it out with something else. But there's nothing wrong with teaching your kids how to play with things respectfully. And if you have kids that are destructive, maybe you can relate, put it in the comments, let me know. Like, do your kids play with the toys respectfully, or do they just kind of like, is it like a chaos, like throw it all over the place all the time? And I know it's kind of a weird balance of like letting them play creatively and being like, okay, that's not how you should play with the blocks, right? You got to kind of find that balance. But I know for sure that when you have too much, it's destruction or destructive play versus like productive play. And that's kind of where my teaching background comes in. When I was a Montessori teacher, I would have to teach kids because, you know, we had 30 kids in a classroom, how to use things correctly, because I can't have all of the kids throwing blocks everywhere just because it's fun, right? Yeah, chaotic with their stuff. So it's likely that they have too much and it's overstimulating for them. Throw it all over the place, and half is in their rooms and half in the living room. Yep, so that's a really good sign that you have too much and you could really benefit from downsizing. So that's number 2. They respect their stuff and they play with it the way that it's intended versus just getting destructive. Oh, Angela, perfect timing. Angela, I actually taught, her son was in one of my classes. Hey, Leah, her son was in one of my classes. And I remember one day she came in and I was like rearranging things and like downsizing things. And I don't know what she actually thought, but it's always a little bit scary as a teacher to be like, I'm taking about half the stuff off the shelves because the kids are just chaotic and destructive. And that's what happens when there's too much stuff. So Angela, if you're still on here, I loved working with Owen, and that green room was one of my favorite classes to work in because it was such a dramatic difference. It was like the craziest, most chaotic of the chaotic classes that I've ever been in. And we got to a pretty good place, at least a much easier place to be in. So less actually works, okay? Atlas, no noise. Go lay down. Number 3, they actually keep track of their stuff, okay? So some of you guys are saying that you have stuff all over the place. It's all over, you know, you have too much, which is fine. But when you have less, your kids actually keep track of it. So when there is so much at the beginning, I say that a lot of times you can get rid of stuff and they're not even going to notice. But the amount of stuff that my kids have now, like I can't go do that anymore because they actually keep track of their stuff. They know where it is. They take care of it. They play with it all. Even if they don't play with it all every day, it's pulled out on a pretty regular basis. Like this morning, there's this little ball that I think that's Felicia. Hey, Felicia. Happy almost birthday. But they keep track of their stuff and they really enjoy their stuff and they want to know where it is. I'm not sure if it's still too much. Lindsay, we'll talk about that in the other group. I think that's a good conversation for our last day together. But they know where it all is, okay? And I don't have to go behind them and keep track of it. And I don't have to go behind them and wonder if they're playing with it because I know that they do. They play with it all. I know we have too much, but they also know if it's gone because they do play with it all. So we'll talk about that here at the end too. Because sometimes we confuse playing with it with being in it and throwing it all around and having chaos. Okay, chaos is not the same as playing with it. And I guarantee you, your kids are not keeping track of every little thing ever. They don't have the brain capacity for that. Okay, so sometimes we trick ourselves into thinking that they will know and they will be upset and they really won't. They're going to appreciate it in the long run, even if in the beginning it's a little bit rocky, but we'll talk about that at the end. So that's number 3. They keep track of their stuff and they know where it is and they play with it all. They actually play with it all. Gift toys, I'll touch on that at the end too. So I'm going to write this down at the end so I have things to talk about. Gifts, gift toys, and noticing what's gone. Okay, number 4, they are grateful for what they have. You're welcome, Shara. They are grateful for what they have. They appreciate what they have. They don't take for granted when somebody buys them a toy. They don't go to the store expecting that anything that they ask for, they're going to get. Okay, they appreciate what they have. And that is another reason that they respect it and they take care of it and they keep track of it. They appreciate it. And these are really important lessons as they grow up, okay? You don't want them to be the adult. Do you want them to be the adult who like grows up and is like, can't keep track of their stuff's always broken, they're kind of a mess, you know, they don't take care of things like their cars or their homes, all right? So these are little lessons that they're gonna carry with them through life. Being grateful and appreciating and taking care of the things that you have, okay? It's something that I had to learn, like taking care of my car. Like my car used to always smell weird, have funky stuff in it. It was pretty gross. I'm not gonna lie, it was really gross. I've told you guys the story. There was a Jello jiggler frozen to the side of my door. Like teaching them these things now to take care of this stuff is going to make it so that they can grow up and be an adult who is able to take care of their home, who is able to take care of their cars, who is able to take care of their physical health and all of these things. Okay, it seems little and insignificant because it's toys that we're talking about, but it's that important. Number 5, I can absolutely trust my kids with nice things. I can buy them something expensive and know that they're going to take care of it. I can buy them an iPad, which we did back in 2013 when we left Idaho, and they still have that iPad and take care of it and charge it and care for it. And my mother-in-law gave my daughter her old Surface, and I trust her completely to take care of those nice things. We joke about it as moms, and I tell you guys this a lot, that yeah, it's fun to joke about it until it's not funny anymore, until it's actually bothering us. And we say things like, oh, I'm a mom, I can't have nice things. Or this is why I can't have nice things, because the kids destroy it. And yes, I'm not saying that my kids don't ever do anything. You guys can see right now, Haley has a granola bar that she just put all over the white cabinet. Okay, it happens. I'm sure that, again, she's going to color on the walls. But we shouldn't be living in this constant state of being like, oh, we can't have nice things and we can't enjoy things because I don't trust my kids to take care of it. Okay, when they have too many toys and they're used to just destruction and chaos, that's how they treat nice things. They can't see the difference. And so my husband and I can buy a nice couch and feel good about it. It's the dark fabric color because we do have kids and we're not stupid, right? But we can have nice things. They do take care of their friends' toys too. Yeah, that's a really good point too. Like when we go over to people's houses, sometimes I have to like rein them in a little bit, but I know that they're not going to destroy their friends' stuff. Sometimes they will like jump on their beds and I have to go up and remind them and be like, hey, we don't do this at our house. You don't do this with other people's stuff. But that's another important life lesson: respecting other people's spaces, respecting other people's boundaries, respecting other people's things. That's just another great life lesson. And they really are learning all of these really big lessons in really seemingly small ways through their toys. Okay, kids learn through play. They learn through their toys. But I can trust them with nice things. Okay, I can buy my daughter nicer jewelry, and I know that she's going to keep track of it. I haven't yet. I got her one really nice piece. She's 9. I got her a time turner, like a real one, like a 14 karat gold. So it's not like crazy expensive, but it was pretty expensive. A 14 karat gold time turner from Harry Potter. And I absolutely trust her to keep track of it and to take care of it and to not lose it and not to swing it around like a whatever. She knows that it's important. She knows that it's valuable, and she takes care of it. So that's number 5. They can be trusted with nice things. Okay. They're more creative. They're more creative with their play. When they have less, they get more creative. They get innovative. They make up their own games. That was something that happened when we moved to Florida. We had the one suitcase of toys. Yes, I love Harry Potter too. That's why I got it. We read all the books and I was like, celebration, you get a really nice time turner. And I'm pretty jealous of it. But they're more creative. So when we first moved to Florida, we had one car. So my husband went to work and I was stuck at home with them with one suitcase of toys. Okay, we didn't have a whole bunch of art supplies. Actually, we had like a box of crayons and some paper and some markers maybe. And then we had the little dollhouse set, which I've showed you guys before, but we didn't have a lot. And I was convinced that we were going to be so bored. They were going to be so destructive. They were going to hate life. They were not going to want to be in the house, but it was the exact opposite. They were so creative in the games that they made. They made up games. They would stack up pillows and make it a train. And they would go on train rides for hours. Or they would build forts and play in the forts for hours. And the fort was just a little blanket that I put over the coffee table. And they played in it for hours. They were so creative. They made up stories. And they were only 2 and 4 at the time. But they would make up stories. They would make up games. They would sing songs. We would turn on music. And the play was so in-depth and exactly what, in my opinion, small children need in order to like get their brains developed in the way that they're meant to be developed. Okay. And we would play outside more. It was Florida, so sometimes it was too hot, but they would go outside and grab sticks and leaves and build fairy houses with the big palm trees and the rocks and like the flowers, and we would use chalk and color on the sidewalk and go out for walks and just observe things. But having less toys opens up that space for creativity and creation. Okay, like actually creating. And I talked about this the other day, that I think personally, one of our innate human needs is to create. And the same thing is true for kids. But when there's so much around them, so much overstimulation, so many things and just chaos, it takes away from their ability to be able to create and to play on that really deep level, like kids are just naturally designed to do. That's what they're made to do. So these are just kind of reasons that if you're thinking about wanting to declutter, that you should. Okay, these are the benefits. This is what happens when you declutter, when you get bold and brave and decide to actually downsize the toys. And we'll talk about the actual how at the end of this. So number 7, they're more active. Okay, they're more active. They're not just sitting there watching TV or sitting there playing their iPads or their video games. Okay, my kids are pretty active. We don't let them play their phones until 7 o'clock at night, but there are a lot of nights that they don't play. They would rather be outside playing basketball or playing animal soccer, which is their stuffed animals. They set them up and have soccer tournaments or basketball tournaments, or they want to go for a walk, or they want to go rollerblading, or they want to go practice their soccer skills or their football catching for their games on the weekend. They're just way more active. And that is invaluable. Okay, these lessons, like I said, that we're teaching them with their toys and the things that they have seem like small, unimportant lessons, but in the long run, you're teaching them, hey, it feels good to move your body. You know, you got to take care of your physical health. It feels good to be outside in nature. It feels good to go play. It feels good to set up a soccer match with your friends and go out and do it. Okay, they're much more active. And that's number 7, much more active. Number 8, they love the outdoors. Okay, my kids love being outside. My son is a little intimidated by some weather. Like he doesn't like rain often or really heavy winds, but they love being outside. Okay, they love going rollerblading and looking for flowers or noticing the seasonal changes in the leaves or finding bugs or finding spiders or playing in the garden. They have a really true appreciation for nature, which is really, really important, right? We want our kids to love being outside. That's where kids belong. I personally believe like kids, they just belong outside. They're happier outside. And when they have less toys, they're kind of by default forced to get out into nature. She's mad that I took the hairy granola bar away from her. Come here. You want this? Come here. Let me hold you. Come on. So that's number 8. They love the outdoors. Number 9, they have a greater love and appreciation for music. My daughter's room, if you've seen pictures of it, I can put some up in the comments. But most of the stuff in her room is music. She has a ukulele, she has a keyboard, she has an electric drum set, and we just got her a viola, and that's how they play. They go in there and they create music together. It's not very good. They're just being honest. I mean, sometimes it is, but you know, they're getting better and they're experimenting with it and they're playing with it and they're being creative with it and they're having fun with it. And they love. This is like her fake cry. But they love music. And then my son's room has more of the sports stuff. He has like a basketball hoop on the back of his door, some little mini soccer goals. Right. Hey, look. Oh, you're such a mess. You got that granola bar? But that's what happens is they have a greater appreciation for the arts, I guess, for art and for music. Do you want these? You can play with them. Oh. Which is pretty cool. I mean, I think music is really good for kids. And then number 10, they play better together. Okay, they cooperate. They actually get along with each other. They collaborate and they play much more cooperatively than when they have too much. And if Amy is watching the replay of this, she was saying that she was like, I would like to have duplicates of every paintbrush so that they can, he's so funny, so that they can each have their own. So she has 2 kids and she was like, I need like 2 of each paintbrush. But then she was talking about like, well, what if I only have one and then they have to share? She said historically that doesn't really go well. But when they have less, they have to cooperate, they have to collaborate, and they have to share. And we think that we're doing them favors by having like duplicates of everything, and then they won't have to share. But what happens is that it doesn't teach them those lessons. Okay, it doesn't teach them to cooperate and to use things together, right? It just teaches them that, oh, I can have whatever I want whenever I want it, which is not how life works. Okay, it's another small lesson that we don't really realize that they're learning until they're older. Like when we're older, we don't just get everything we want right when we want it. We have to wait sometimes. We have to share. We have to stand in line. We have to cooperate with people. We have to collaborate with people. And when they have less, they are given more opportunities to practice these skills of cooperation and collaboration. Okay. So, hey. Those are my 10 reasons that if you haven't decluttered, maybe can get into your head a little bit and make you want to declutter so that your kids can have all of these benefits, not just right now, not just so that you can have a clean house. That is part of it, but that's not all of it, but so that your kids can start learning these kinds of really valuable life lessons for when they're older. So let's talk about the actual how. Actually, let's talk about the gifts real quick, because somebody said, what about gifts that people have given you? So a lot of people come into the group and say, my house is cluttered because people buy me toys all the time. Thank you. Yeah, we're definitely, I like it. She's grumpy. She needs a nap, but she's not sleeping. She's going through that phase where she's like, I'm really tired, but I'm not going to sleep. So this is where we're at. And I do like it when I can like show you guys, hey, I'm actually a real person. Okay, I don't have a nanny. I don't have a big team behind me. I'm just trying to survive. But when a lot of times, and a lot of people who have gone through like the courses and stuff that I have said the same thing, like, oh, my house is cluttered because my mother-in-law gives us gifts all the time. They always send us with way too many stuff. And yes, part of that is true. I'm sure that they do give you a lot of stuff in your home that you don't need or want, and it's excess. But ultimately, you're the gatekeeper of your home. You get to decide what comes in, what stays, and what goes. And so when we are given gifts, a lot of times we want to keep them out of obligation or out of guilt. And I am very sensitive to the fact that, yes, we want to keep everything. We don't want to be rude. And I don't think it is rude. I think that once you've downsized the amount of toys you have, you can accept those gifts easily and happily. And then just remember that the gift was in the giving, not the keeping. Okay, we realistically and practically cannot keep everything that everybody ever gives us, because then we would have a house full of stuff and it would be completely overwhelming. So just remember that the gift is in the giving, not in the keeping. I love it when people give my kids gifts, because a lot of times it's things that I wouldn't have thought to get them myself. And because we have fully decluttered our home and been living this way for a long time, it's not overwhelming to me anymore. And I don't feel burdened by it or frustrated by it. I can welcome it and be like, wow, how cool that Nana sends you a box of dollar store toys every month that you get to play with and enjoy, that I wouldn't go out and buy for you. And that's just the truth of it. And gifts, they're just an expression of love. So don't feel bad about not keeping everything forever. You don't have to make a big deal about it. You don't have to be like, stop sending me gifts, okay? Just accept it, appreciate it, and that's it. That's it. Come here. And then Shara, if you're still on here, I hope that you are. What to do about kids who notice everything that's gone. So they're going to notice if you go in, depending on their age, if they're like over 3 years old. That's so funny. If you go in and get rid of their toys behind their backs while they're at school and they come home and everything is gone, yes, they're going to notice, and yes, they're going to be upset about it. because they're going to feel betrayed. Okay. It's kind of like the husband rule. Hey, your husband is going to notice if you go in and get rid of all of his toys, and he's going to be mad at you. And he's going to feel like you went behind his back, and he's going to feel like you betrayed him. Okay. Your kids are going to feel the same way, which is why I recommend including them. Why I recommend including. Yeah. There. So don't make it like a punishment thing. It doesn't need to be a mean mom thing, but really, right. It's not your kid's fault that they have too many toys. Your kids didn't go out and buy it. Your kids didn't ask for you to give them too much. They didn't ask you to accept, all of the donation, all of the donated toys. Okay, it's not their fault. Do that to my husband's spices. Yeah, and Shamar, sometimes it happens. I did it with something about something the other day. I can't remember what. When I remember, I'll let you guys know. But they're going to feel betrayed, so include them. Let them know, hey, guys, we have so many toys, like so many toys that mom is always frustrated by it, right? Like mom is always harassing you and nagging you to clean up after your stuff. Mom is always complaining that you never help me clean up. Mom is just not happy with it. Okay, so we're going to go through it, and we are going to get rid of first the things that are broken and have missing pieces. Okay, we're going to get rid of those so that you can have your best and favorite toys, and focus on what you're going to keep. Don't go into it with the attitude that it is punitive, that you are punishing them, because then they are not going to like it. Okay, then they're going to be like, you got rid of all my stuff, or they're going to be like, you got rid of my most favorite thing ever, and then it's going to be harder on them. Okay, we don't want it to be like that. We don't want it to be punishing or negative or rocky, whatever you want to call it. Okay, include them in the process. And I do have that free ebook. It's in the announcement section, called the Simplified Toy ebook, that you can get to learn more about how to actually do this. And then, like I said, I do have a course called Downsizing the Toys. It's literally an hour-long class of me walking you through exactly how to declutter your toys with your kids so that you're happy and they're happy, and you get a workbook that goes along with it. And it's $14, and you get access to it for life, and you can review it as much as you want. It's a really great course. I can put a link to that in the comments. But it covers all of these things. So moving forward, I told my 4-year-old that we were giving the old toys to other kids, and it helped a little bit. Yeah, that will help. I think it sometimes just depends on the kid, and I think it sometimes depends on the age. Sometimes they're like, they don't care. Like my son, he doesn't care. And he's 7. Okay, but my oldest daughter is like, wow, that is so great and so awesome and so wonderful, and she loves it when we do that, like around Christmas time. But my son is like, cool. I don't care. He's just like, get him out of my room. I don't want him. Some kids will respond to it better than others, so I think it's a good conversation to have. Whether they're like excited by it or not, it's a good message to send them. Okay, so how do you move forward with this? So I want you to start by asking yourself, what values and lessons do you want to be teaching your kids and instilling in them through the toys? So all of these things that we talked about, other than number 1, you have a cleaner house, but like they respect their stuff, they keep track of their stuff, they're grateful, they can be trusted with nice things, they love the outdoors. Like, think about what kinds of things you want to be instilling in your kids through your toys. And then ask yourself how your current toy situation is either helping or hurting those visions and goals that you have for your kids, okay? So if you have way too many toys and your kids just fight over it all the time, despite having so many that everybody could have one of everything, you need to downsize so that you can foster a play space that encourages cooperation and collaboration and sharing, okay? If you want to teach them how to take care of nice things, then you need to get rid of all of the things that are broken or missing pieces or they don't use, okay? Think about these things, okay? Because it's so much more than just toys. It's so much more than just toys. Hey, look, these glasses are hit with you. These are so funny. Why do you think these are funny? Is it because it makes me look like a police officer? That's weird. And then, like I said, if you want more action steps on how to actually do this, I need the toy class. Okay, I will put the link in the comments. And she's to the breaking point, guys, so I'm gonna go. But like I said, get that free ebook, which is in the announcements section. I can link it in the comments here too. I will put the link to that class in the comments as well. And maybe I'll give you guys like a little coupon code too, like, because it's a $14 class, but maybe I'll just do for today, since we're talking about all things toys, give you like a $4 coupon. So it's just a $10 class. Okay, so I'll put the coupon for that so that you can get the class for $10 instead of $14. You can get that whole entire video, the workbook, all that good stuff. And then I'm gonna go get her settled. And if you guys have any follow-up questions, comments, whatever, put them in the comments. I want to hear from you. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.